Welcome inside the huddle in Mom's locker room of legacy, where champions bring out their playbooks to inspire, educate, and empower. Here, we equip mothers, athletes, and families with tools that go beyond the game, helping to build legacies that last a lifetime. Before we begin, please note, this program is for educational and inspirational purposes only. By watching, you acknowledge that you are participating at your own risk. The views expressed belong to our facilitators and guests and do not replace professional, legal, medical, or financial advice. M.O.M.S, its executive director, Dr. Erica Wilson, affiliates, and speakers are released from any liability connected to the content shared. Copyright IH2H. It had to happen, and M.O.M.S, Mothers of Motivated Sons. All rights reserved. No portion of this broadcast may be copied, recorded, distributed, or reproduced without written permission. Stay connected with us. Follow Mothers of Motivated Sons on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn. Follow our community handle, Enfulmomsof IH22. Subscribe to our YouTube channel for updates, workshops, and inspiration. Visit us at https://www.mothersofmotivatedsons.org. Contact us at info@mothersofmotivatedsons.org. Together, we're building legacy beyond the game. Now, let's get ready, because the huddle starts here, and champions are made in this locker room of legacy. Let's welcome our Executive Director, Dr. Erica Wilson, and champions.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hey guys, what's going on this Monday, September, I believe, 15th? We are back here before you all, and we have some champions in the building. But before we get started, we want to go ahead and hype you guys up just a tad bit. But before we do that, let me go ahead and bring in the heavyweight champions, which is the Mr. and Mrs. First of all, coming into the building, weighing in from Miami Gardens. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Let's go.
All right. Then we have another heavyweight champion coming all the way from El Paso, Texas. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And then we have another heavyweight champion right here in the A. Our money champion, Miss Ashley Cunningham. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right, so before we get started, we want to get you guys a little hyped. Here we go.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Mr. First of all himself. That's right. And welcome inside the huddle, a mom's locker room of legacy. You want to know the next play? You need to tune in on Mondays and Thursdays at 7:30 p.m. So like it, share it, stay connected, subscribe. Our website is www.mothersofmotivatedsons.org. Hey, we're raising champions and building legacies. Let's go.
All right. So if that didn't hype you guys up, I don't know what will. So strong mind, strong body, strong futures, a champion's blueprint beyond the game, y'all. So let me tell you a little bit about tonight's blueprint. So beyond the game, it is more than a theme, right? It's a movement. So you see, too often athletes are prepared for the next game, but not life beyond the scoreboard. So true success is built on balance, mental health, financial wisdom, physical wellness, and strong character. So tonight we gather experts to shape not just the players, guys, but champions who carry their strength into every area of life. Y'all come on in. Y'all ready to jump into this topic on tonight after coming from a strong event September 6th? Y'all the champions held it down. Oh man, did y'all hold it down? But we want to tackle this topic on tonight because, as we know, we need strong minds, strong bodies, and strong futures for our athletes, and not just our athletes, y'all, the mothers as well. So, starting with you, we're gonna let the man of the house go first. All right, Mister. First of all, so what it is that you think about this topic on tonight?
I mean, it needs to be talked about. Everything that we do consists with those different compartments for the most part. And yes, it's not just for the athletes; it's for the parents as well.
Absolutely. So, what do you say, Mrs. First of all?
I think that those topics are serious, and it is important because we don't have the mindset. We don't know what we're getting ourselves into and how to manage and control these things. We can't be successful, not just as athletes, but as parents, as a family, and as a whole.
Absolutely. And what do our nutrition champions think? What do you think about this topic one tonight?
I think it's extremely important because life is not just now, but in tomorrow. And just like Matthew says, he who takes a journey to build must consider the cost. So we have to look at the future to build today. And how we build today determines on how we look at the future.
That's it right there. Okay. That's our nutritionist champion, y'all. So come on in, money champion. Tell me what you think about this topic one tonight.
Not to just sound like a broken record, but literally what everyone is saying, these are things that are needed within our community. The family, we are the backbone of the next generation. We set the foundation. So it's up to us to make sure that we're setting it right and solid so that we know as we build upon it generation after generation after generation, it's harder to fall.
Absolutely. Because it says when you stand for something, how it go when you stand for something, you won't fall for anything. I might say it backwards, but y'all get the point. So as you heard all these champions one tonight, Ed, we're going to start with you first. So here's the thing. We know that athlete and the parents, the mind is one thing we always want to protect, right? And being though you are a mental health counselor, I want you to tell the audience what are some of the biggest mental health challenges that athletes face when transitioning beyond the game. Because see, we know that one day what sports is going to be over, right? So what are some of the challenges that they face?
So, you find that athletes, they deal with anxiety because they don't know what is before them, what to expect. And the anxiety can come from fear too, like fear of like how they're going to show up or if things will be successful. So that's really big. Also the pressures, that can create depression because, what I'm saying, you have to, you're in your mind, they in their head, and a lot of the times that's the biggest struggle, being in your head. We don't know, or they don't know what life looks like outside of the game. So being able to visualize that and see that, and not be afraid of the failures, that's big. So a lot of the time you'll see that those are struggles, as well as not just pressures of being successful after it, but the family, like having to take care of the family because they have been basically carrying their family on their back their whole careers. You know what I mean? Especially if they've been professional players, paying for, mortgages and rents and allowances and things like that to help the family out. Not, everybody's not a moosher, but just pretty much taking care of the family, and so making sure that they can continue to do that, losing friendships and losing family members when you can't do that. So there's a lot that players really find themselves dealing with after the game. But most importantly, it's really how they see themselves. Not really being sure of themselves and having that confidence. And like I said, it does create a lot of anxiety and mood shifts that they have to later, get help with, not being able to regulate those emotions, that anger that they're feeling when, they're not shining like they always shine, or when that image in their mind, that vision in their mind, it doesn't translate to life later on, and really finding the motivation to remain. So those are some things that we may see with some athletes as they transition.
And that's so good that you spoke about that, because here's the thing, as a mother of a retired player, right? I not just, losing people, but here's the thing, you get all the love when you're out there making plays. You know what I'm saying? You get all that love. But I'm gonna say we're gonna shout out our superstar Shannon. Shannon never wavered, y'all. Wherever Team Allen went, she went with us, and even after. So shouts out to you, bestie. Shouts out to you. But that is a thing, and we definitely want parents, because it not only affect the child, it affect the parents as well, if you have a caring parent.
Yes.
Because I told you guys before, like I told Alan, once he finished, he have his own family, like cut my stipend off, I'll be good. And he was like, no, that's just something he wants to do. But that definitely matters. So I'm glad that you tackled that. That's good right there. So coach, come on in, Mr. First of all. So beyond the skills, right? Because we talked about, after the game. So beyond the skills and the wins, how can coaches build resilience and leaderships in their athletes?
Well, you gotta have that conversation. Be open to them, be more vulnerable to them, and let them know, you're not invisible. I'm not invisible. I'm human just like you, and things are gonna happen. You're just gonna have to be able to push through certain things, whether it's positive or negative, for the most part.
Ooh, that is so good. Our nutritionist, did she go out the building? Did she go out the building?
You
Where
know,
you at,
you know
nutritionist?
these kids got us running amok.
I tell you, see, y'all, we are all parents. Some have younger, some have older,
Can
but
you
that she
hear
go.
me?
All right, I see you. So here's yours. We talked about the culture, building resilience, and we talked about protecting the mind. But we all know, come on, let's talk about this, the problem that I have. But anywho, how does proper nutrition impact not only performance, but also long-term health and focus? Because one day, the sport will be over. So
I,
come on with that.
that's a great question because eating now will fuel the output for the field in your practice sessions, in your competitions. But looking beyond the competitions and the performance, there's also injuries. So it's a contact game if you're playing a contact game. If it's not a contact game, you're straining your body in excess. You're having to put in extra exercise. So your body is going to be prone to injuries. So if you're not consuming good nutrition, your body is going to heal slow. It's going to find itself in a way that it's not recovering. And that poses a danger for your future. You don't want to leave the field and then straight away go to using adaptive equipment for life sustenance because your body has already been so wounded, it never healed when you're doing your practices and your performances. So you want to be able to recover quickly when you get injuries or prevent the injuries as often as possible through your nutrition so that you can shield your body for when you're beyond the field. Because when you're beyond the field, truth be told, you're not going to be exercising as much as you are when you are in the field. So it's going to slow down. And when your activity level slows down, your body is going to break down faster if it was not healing during the field. So
You
that
know,
is extremely important.
very, 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 very
Yeah.
important, because some people have a lot of injuries in the game, and we're talking about the game of football,
Mhm.
right? You said it;
Yes.
it's a contact sport, right? So
Yes.
here,
It's a contact sport. It's heavy hit. Yes.
yes, it's like I would say it like a car sometimes colliding, because it's just,
Hmm.
and people don't even understand that, right? You're talking
Yeah.
about a receiver running after the ball, because it happened to Allen before. He so focused on the ball, him the guy, boop, and he
Yeah.
had a concussion. He was out. We don't think about the long-term effects on
Hmm.
these players, and we be so hard on them, right? But here's the
Yeah.
thing: we don't go out there and play a down of football, exercise, do any workout, none of that. So I think as we're talking about it more here inside of the workshop, inside the huddle, I think it could give people a better understanding, you know what I'm saying, on what's really going on
Yes.
behind the scene. Because at the end of the day, we all know that some of us don't eat right. But as
Hmm.
an athlete, how would you say what will be the youngest person that you would make out a plan for? You know, y'all hear my grandbaby?
Yeah.
I'm
That's
so
all right.
sorry. So what
It's
would be
all
the
right.
what would be the youngest person like you will make a plan for?
So that's a really good question because when they're growing up and when they're as young as 10, because they're starting to play as young as 6, 7, but I don't want to make a plan for a 6, 7 year old, for a 10 year old, because they need to focus on their basic nutrition at that point. So the best plan I can do for less for a 6 year old, 10 year old, 15 year old is let's see how you can maximize on your basic nutrition. And then let's start figuring out because now when they start getting to 13, they're starting to face deficiencies because of their growth, because of the level of their personal development where they are. So they're more prone to deficiencies at that age because of their developmental stage. So at that point, we want to now start examining what is it that they're deficient about? What is it that they're more prone to? If they are girls, if they are boys, what is it that they're more likely to be deficient about? And then we can start figuring out a more detailed and specific plan. But the biggest plan for anybody, whether 6 years old or 30-year-old, is where are you at with your basic nutrition? So we want to be able to figure out that first. Are you meeting your basic nutrition for your development stage? And then now let's start figuring out your sport level, your activity level, your performance season. Is it practice? Is it off season? Is it in season? Then we start figuring out those macros and even the micronutrient levels.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's
You
crazy
know,
how go
I'm
ahead.
sorry to interrupt you, Erica, but I love the fact that you asked that question because I sit back and I ask myself, even with what Naomi was saying, it kind of falls into the mental health standpoint too, because how children handle emotions, like they're not really aware of the ups and downs of the emotions that they experience. And we as adults were like, oh, that you're not supposed to do this, and you're not supposed to act that way, but they're forever developing and they're learning these different emotions. And I sit back and ask myself, do we put these children in sports too early? Like, I know that it starts at 4, 5, and 6, but should it start that early? Because yet we're introducing them to an adult way of moving, right? Because they don't, I don't think, and Speedy, Coach Speedy, you can say what you think, but I don't think that they're approaching football in a youth mindset. When you get those kids out there, it's like, okay, this is the sport, this is how the sport go, and the expectation is that they play the sport as the sport should be played,
Mm,
not accommodated for a youth per se, as it should be. So
right.
when you got the kid dealing with, the fact that you didn't give me the ball, and I'm 6 years old, and I want to hold the ball like he want to hold the ball, and why he get to run with the ball, like these are things that kids are developmentally experiencing as emotions, and coaches and parents are like, stop crying, get over here, sit on the thing and relax, and it's going to be right. And it's like you're telling the kid not to have the accurate emotion that they're supposed to feel. And yet when they get 13, 14, and 15, now we want to talk about why they can't deal with their emotions and why they all over the place with but we've trained them not to recognize certain emotions because it's an adult sport, and we're treating them like adults in the sport. So it was interesting to hear Naomi say, like, I wouldn't give them a plan because their body's growing, like they're certain stuff that and Naomi, you correct me too, but certain stuff that you eat as an adult you wouldn't take away from a kid because they needed to grow. And we can cut back certain things that children we wouldn't recommend cutting back so early. So it's like when you were talking about it, I was just sitting thinking like, man, I wonder if the introduction to sport is too early, or like how can it be accommodated, you
Well,
know?
here's the thing though. It's where you go. Be honest with you, because at the end of the day, sports coming in at that age should just be the fundamentals. It should not
Hmm.
Yeah.
be a competition thing. You understand what I'm saying? We should not be teaching our kids that young. Okay, well, if you don't do this, because you're sending mixed emotions. Because next time, just as a parent. when we beat our kids, what we tell our kids.
Don't cry.
Exactly. So you're instilling fear in them
Yes,
already. You see,
exactly.
I don't even take the sport to instill the fear. But here's the thing: is that at that age, and I love that, the guy who we honored up here, their program, they're not teaching everybody plays. I don't care who, everybody plays. And that's what it should be, especially at that young age. Alan started at when he was 4, Daryl started when he was 8. But here's the thing: we saw kids that didn't even touch the field. So come on, coach, and we gotta go to our money champion shortly. But come on, coach, and chime in on this.
Yeah. So I'll just keep it real short. It goes back to the workshop we talked about, just like what you just mentioned. I think it should be a learning process. I like the I-9. I like it now only because of what I've been through throughout my years and what my colleagues have went through throughout the years and how we are now. Like me, I walk around with injuries out of galore, and that's mainly because not because I started so early, it's that we didn't have the education and the knowledge on how to recover from playing multiple sports. And I preach multiple sports, and I still believe that it's still a great thing. But what are you doing after each sport? Are you giving yourself the proper recovery? And
Yes.
then and it goes hand in hand with like the nutrition thing. Yeah, I've watched these kids, these young kids on these strict diets, right? They're performing well, but when they turn 14, 15, 16, all of that amazingness catches up because now you have other people that's doing the same thing and their bodies peak out at a certain time, they burn out and they are not able to continue. It's a selected few that can. They just it's just genetics. So they can actually power through. But look at them at the age of 35, 36. Now their bodies are breaking down because they started adulthood or teenagehood, if that's even a word, at an early age. So
Yeah.
and I also think it's certain sports I believe can start a lot earlier. Like the contact sports, yeah, yield on that a little bit. Middle school, they probably should start. Basketball is more of a skill thing. Track is more of a skill thing. Swimming, baseball, it's still wear and tear on those ligaments and things, but those a little bit more easier to deal with outside of the other sports.
Yeah, because Alan, like I said, he played flag, but it's again where you go. But we have she said, for coach, do you repeat the way you were taught or different?
Oh no, totally. All right, so it depends. I got to be careful with this. Certain things, yes, you repeat. You repeat, like in training. Only because I'm more knowledgeable now. Yeah, I will repeat those same things, but I add on, like I talked about the recovery. We didn't have ice baths when we was kids. We just played. We stretched. After the game, we running around playing throw up tackle, and we go to sleep. Well, I went to sleep. I ain't take a bath. My mom's to hate that. Get your funky butt in that tub. Let's just be late. My mom, she ran the cheerleading program, so we'll get home 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the morning, and she like, hey, you gotta get in the tub to the point I almost drowned in the tub, and that's a whole nother situation. But yeah, you repeat. It's just like anything in life, everything that we're doing has been done before, just more advanced. It's just different. It's still the same basics, but
Yeah.
you just make your adjustments.
Wow, that's good. That is so, so good because at the end of the day, it takes people don't even understand how much it take, especially in a two-parent home. It's still a strain, right? So you just imagine in a one-parent home. Oh my
Mm,
God, it just a whole another level. And the thing is, a lot of times too, like even when you talk about the ice bath, the thing about that too is we're training kids at so young, and they should not even be lifting weights before they're
no,
15.
not
That's
at
not serious.
all.
No. But
Because your
that's a
body, yeah.
whole other topic we're gonna jump on. But that's one of the things, and this is what when they look at the statistics and see how many people actually make it to the league, think
Mm,
about that too. You just talked about the older people getting the injuries. You have Look, football year now. Look at all these guns going down. Look in season. I mean preseason. Now I'm looking at these games and I'm just, I mean, just crunching, crawling up, thinking like, oh my God, it's so many injuries, and you don't see all these injuries no more because why? They don't get a chance to rest their bodies. It's a constant go, 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 go,
Yeah,
go. Well, let's go to
exactly.
our money champion right now, because if we don't have the money to pay for these sports, or even pay for the nutritionists, or pay for the therapist, where do
We'll
we
pay for
go?
the injuries.
Pray for the injuries, yeah. You know. So, athlete, what financial habits should athletes begin practicing early to set themselves up for stability beyond the sport?
That is a great question. And this is one that I wish I kind of knew early on because, we typically take our financial advice from generation to generation to generation, right? So if you have the generation where they say, I don't trust the bank, I'm just going to leave my money under the mattress and let it do what it do. Okay, well, that's cool. But then there's this thing called inflation, right? And your dollar does not necessarily amount to what a dollar equals today. Like you can't buy a bag of chips for a dollar even. It's gonna be like $1.35, and it's a small bag and it's gonna have less chips. So one thing that I try to do with my kids is try to teach them the value of a dollar. It seems like now we're so used to just doing Apple Pay or just paying with the credit card that we don't see the physical dollar itself. So we typically devalue the dollar, right? So I like for my kids to see the actual money. And point in case, my niece one day, she was like, yeah, auntie, I'm really hungry. I said, okay, cool. I cooked dinner. And she just got paid because I would pay her to babysit the kids. And she's like, well, I want McDonald's. I said, okay, cool. She ordered her meal. I looked at her and I said, that's, $10. And she was like, so you're not going to pay for it? No, ma'am, I'm not. You got money, right? She said, I'm not hungry no more. I said, that's what I thought. That's exactly what I thought. So when you're able to set your kids up and come up with ways where you have chores around the house, okay, you complete this chore is $1.50. Have a store within your house and let them know, like, this is what $1.50 can buy. And then from there, you're starting to pick those habits up. Now, for if you're a little bit older, it can be a little bit harder because one thing with money, it's a mindset thing, right? And it's hard to shift. Oh, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we hear you
Okay,
now.
cool. Everybody went out. Especially if you feel like there's not a lot to go around, right? So you want to be able to set yourself up a budget. Say, okay, look, these are some things that I want to be able to buy. How much money am I bringing in? And how long is it going to be able for me to purchase this one product if I take care of all these other areas? But that's going to start with the parents because the children won't know what's necessarily important unless the parents tell them. Another point in case, I had someone who I was going to work with who won about $500,000. He spent about $100,000 of that in 1 week. So just because you come into money, that does not mean you know what to do with the money, right? The habits don't change. Just the zeros behind the number, right?
Exactly.
And then eventually you find yourself back in square one, and then you're like, I wish I could have, would have, should have.
Wow. Oh, she said a month?
Listen, she ain't say no month. It sounded like she said a
I said a
week.
week. A week. A week.
Lord have mercy.
A week.
We have a question here. What do you do differently? I'm not sure who you are asking that to, sis. So if you can let us know who you had that question for, what do you do differently? Please do let us know.
Let me say something to Ashley. That's crazy, first of all, but because I hate that. I'd probably be that person to spend 100,000 in a week, but I ain't gonna judge. We're not gonna judge me. We're not gonna judge me. Listen, we're not gonna judge me. But I probably use mine to pay some debt off. But anyway, um, what I wanted to point out was, or ask Ashley was, so when you say it's up to the parent, right? Or it's the parent that teaches this, what about that parent who has a fear of money, who having that conversation is like, I don't talk about money. Money is not a, we don't have that kind of conversation. What do you say to that parent when it comes to teaching those individuals how to handle money? Because you're talking about these guys who are going to come into something, even if it's not an NIL situation, they're going to come into some type of money. Going to college, you come into money. Like everybody comes into money. If you signing a loan or whatever the case may be, you're going to get a refund check at some point. And I know what that, I remember them days, boy. You stand in that line for a long time for that refund check. And I don't know about y'all, but I sure wasn't spending it right. No, I wasn't. Uh, so, and even then, even adults, because, I can remember being a single mom and going for my master's and taking out more than I necessarily needed so that I could function in life. And I was a whole teacher making decent money but still, doing that and having to deal with it on the back end. Thank God for the loan forgiveness. I don't have no loans no more. But but that's a thing. So like how do you get rid of those bad habits when a person is afraid to talk about money and have those discussions about money?
I love that question. Can you guys hear me or do you hear my kids?
You're very, very low.
Okay.
We hear them kids though.
You guys are kids though. Oh
So for
Lord.
Coach,
Now, can y'all hear me?
Miss Money,
Can you
yeah,
hear me now?
okay. Yes, go
Okay,
ahead.
so that's a good question. Again, with the mindset, that's not something that just changes overnight, right? My first refund check, kid you not, was $95, and I'm sitting here like, how the hell am I gonna make this stretch over, 6 months? But I did. If I'm looking back in hindsight, I don't know how, but I did. And it's unfortunate, but my one thing that I would say is exposure. It's going to take a lot of exposure for someone to really kind of open their minds to certain financial strategies. For instance, if you know that you're one that can maximize loans and you're worried more so about the future, not the now, there are ways that you can be able to use those loans to benefit you in the future so that you're not having to worry about struggling, right? And then we're able to come up with a plan, and then now you're able to pay off that debt or have a debt pay off that debt, which can get a little bit more complicated, but it's situational based, right? Because what will work for my little $95 check we're gonna work for what you're getting, right? And again, the one thing I learned in life is literally just exposure. I have people in my family who know that I'm in the financial business, and they would say that what I'm doing is wrong based off what they're doing. But the difference with that is what they say about the definition of insanity is you doing the same thing and expecting a different result. Nothing's changed. So one thing people don't like to do is change, right? We're very hesitant to change. And once we get in the mindset of either I'm going to have the pain of change or the pain of regret, at that point you got to figure out which way you want to go.
Okay. We have another question for Ashley. How do you distinguish the difference?
The difference in what?
Agreed. Money pays off credit and credit gives money. What was your question, Miss Moneyro, when you asked for Ashley? You said, how do you distinguish the difference? And Coach, she had one for you. What do you do differently?
Okay, as far as the what I would do differently, I think that's in relation to like coaching, I believe. So I'll just break it down to different things. As far as training, I educate the parents on recovery. I really advocate playing multiple sports because you use the body differently. So if you're playing basketball, you do a lot of running, a lot of more lateral movement than anything, a lot more sprinting. Um, and then you go over to football, it's more contact, it's less jumping, depending on your position. Then you go to boxing, you're utilizing your arms a little bit more than you do the rest of your body. So, in the aspect of the physical realm, I just educate them on doing different things, recovery, and resting, and the importance of stretching because that reduces injuries as well. As far as nutrition, I mean, it's real simple. I just tell the parents, hey, listen, be mindful of what your kids eat. Yeah, I know they like them little hot chips and all that stuff, but performance wise and internally, that's damaging your insides. So your performance, yeah, you may be a great athlete, but how much better could you have been had you not ate that hot sausage? Had you not ate that the pig feet? I don't know if anybody still eating pig feet. All those stuff, stuff like the junk food. Stay away from the junk food. Now, as far as the mental thing, um, I've learned through my coaches a little bit how to treat players. And then as me being an athlete myself, I know how I wanted to be treated. So mentally, I, have that conversation, have those open-ended conversations with these athletes, just to have a conversation outside of just sports to get like more of a clarity of mind, just to take their mind off it for the most part. I hope I answered your question.
Well, that's good, because here's the thing. We talk about eating. So now, Mr. First of all, you don't even have to tell them. You'll say, oh, we got a nutritionist on our
That's
team.
right. That's
We
right.
go ahead and refer you
That's
over to
right.
our
That's
nutritionist.
right.
What's up? That is definitely what's up. So she said for Ashley, I forgot what it was regarding forgive me. That's okay. We'll jump right on into the next thing because as we have a coach here and a mental health therapist, they're husband and wife. Mr. and Mrs. First of all. Okay, so for Mrs. First of all, how can parents and coaches recognize early signs of stress, burnout, or anxiety in young athletes?
Oh wow. That's a really good question. It really isn't that easy. Not in young athletes. Because they don't necessarily show the signs the way that older individuals will. Like we're a bit more vocal. We can show it in our activity. I think that in a child, what you would recognize is they're not wanting to do it anymore. So kind of just like the drawn away from it, wanting to do something else that is more fun, right? And so it's like, oh, do we got to go today? That type of thing would be, I think that that's the telltale
Mhm.
sign from a kid is really just kind of like their lack of interest, I'm sorry, or wanting to avoid even the conversation. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So when you're trying to talk to them about like, oh, did you go run those laps today? Or, did you do, and they're just like, oh, I want to, I'm tired, or I don't want to do that no more. Can I play something else? Or like that would be signs of stress, and being burnt out. Right. And so that's definitely because when they're in it, and this is for any age, when they're in it, they're in it. They're not going to show it. They're going to go 100% in it, and they're going to play, and they're going to fool you because they're going to make you think that they really wanted to do it where in actuality they didn't. They might have just been doing it because now at this point mom or dad has way more interest in this than I do, and they're not paying attention to certain things like, because as a parent at that young age, it's up to us to really pay attention to the surroundings, like pay attention to the environment that can be creating the stress. And sometimes we don't pay attention to that because we just feel like that's the environment. Like we get used to, well, that's just how the coaches talk, or that's just what they do. You know what I mean? And it's like, okay, in that space, are you paying attention to how that's affecting, right? Because just because this is the norm doesn't mean it's right. Just because this is what they're doing doesn't mean that it doesn't affect. And all kids aren't used to that type of environment. Even the kids that's from the hood or whatever you want to call, there's some parents just don't talk to their kids in certain kind of ways. They're very soft to their children, and then they go into an environment where it's very rough, and and that creates stress because now I'm worried about, am I doing something right? Did I do something wrong? Did I mess up? Because you keep screaming at me, not necessarily realizing that maybe that coach is screaming because to them that's how they motivate, that's how they push. You know what I'm saying? So doing that, and that's not just young, because that was an experience that Tyler had with basketball in high school. Like the coach just didn't know how to, I felt like didn't know how to talk to those individuals, and it just seemed like he was really like talking down. And when you got a kid who's not used to that, when you got a kid that's used to the very positive way of speaking, and you could do that, and it's okay. You just gotta get back out there and make it da 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 da. And then you got somebody telling you, you ain't gonna be nothing with like that. When you got somebody like that, that can be discouraging. That creates a stressor too, because how do I show up in this space that I really want to be in when someone is talking to me that way? So, with children, that's what you're gonna see. They don't want to be around it anymore. They're gonna, definitely try to just kind of change it. And I know I just saw a comment, anger definitely is a sign, but a lot of kids tend to not really show that. But but they will be angry, and get frustrated. I guess we could use that, maybe a better word, like their frustrations with the sport, frustrations with the people around them in that sport. So those are some telltale signs.
Mhm.
Oh, that's good. So she said every person should be seen as an individual. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And in the young age, I know we're speaking in the young age as well, but it starts young. How are you
Mhm.
speaking to your kids? Are you talking at your kids? Or are you talking with your kids?
Exactly.
And again, we spoke about it in another workshop. We on the back end, we're looking at, I can't believe he talking to my child like that, but then that's the type of relationship that they have. However, just here, I think a couple of days ago, we saw this coach. The coach slammed the kid to the ground,
Mm.
hurt the kid, and now he got arrested or whatever. But this is the thing, when the sport becomes more of somebody else's than it is the person who playing it.
Mhm.
That is just crazy. So, coach, what role does discipline and mindset play in shaping a strong future beyond the game? Because you got to think about it, and not just beyond the game. What happens when you have that break? In the middle of that break, if you just all you know is sports, 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 there's going to come a time you have 17 games in the NFL. Think about that. It's gonna come a time where you're gonna have that gap right there. So what do you do? What kind of roles? What role does discipline and mindset play in shaping that strong future beyond the game?
Well, so it plays a very important role. One, you got to understand. So people are joining sports for certain things, right? But if we understand as parents, we're putting our young men, our young lady in sports, not just for sports, to groom a professional person. Most athletes that played on the team, if you put them in another setting, in a professional setting, or once they stop playing, they go on to be a business person, whatever. You've created a consistency on time management,
Yep.
uh, how to push through adverse situations, and how to recover from them as soon as possible. They're able to deal with pressure. Oh, I've been in a national championship game before. Yeah, we lost, but we was able to, do whatever we had to do, and afterwards, I knew it wasn't the end of it. So that plays a very important role with that discipline and the mental.
Yes,
Yeah.
goodness. And then
Yeah.
you come talking about the money side of it.
Oh man.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that's a whole. So
Mm.
Ashley, come on in. So how can families, right, help their athletes avoid common money pitfalls? Telling you that many professionals face after their career ends, but some of them face it before their career ends because we I think I heard someone say here, actually I believe said it, when you get your when money get when you come into money, more money, more problems. There you go. More
Mhm.
money, more problems. So actually, how can families help their athletes avoid common money pitfalls that many professionals face after their career ends? Because one day, oh, I'm having a hot flash. Ashley, can you hear me? Whew, whew, whew. Can she hear me?
She was driving. I don't know
I
if she
think she
probably
drove
got.
in the tunnel
Yeah.
or something.
Oh, without comparison. So true. But here's the thing. I'm gonna tell y'all how good God is, right? And how small the world really is. Miss Money Rowe is actually the coach that coached your kids. That's his mother right there. Miss Money Rowe. That's his mother. So Ashley, can you hear me? Ashley is driving y'all, so please do bear with us. We have some good stuff for y'all on tonight. Did Naomi? I think we dropped Naomi, but here's the thing too. You know, as being that we have you guys both in the same home, and you're a mental health counselor, and you're a coach. I'm sure that there are sometimes differences. Oh my gosh, I'm sweating, y'all. I'm sure there's sometimes differences, right? Where how do you come together as a whole, right? As a mental health counselor, and then as a coach. Well, K9 Sports, am I saying it right?
I
I
know.
I know.
I9 Sports, right? I'm sure there was some level of disagreement before because as you coming from a coach, like yeah,
Yeah.
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 You see what I'm saying? How do you find common ground if you were to give some words of encouragement to another parent that may be in this same situation, right? How do you find common ground between the two?
Well, I'll speak first because my wife, she gonna give the best answer. So I got to get
Oh my
mine in.
God.
So,
Be quiet.
I would just say personally within us. So I know when to take the back seat on certain things. I know my wife, she can lead with the mental health thing. So I let her deal with it. I sit back and I'm like the co-pilot and I add whatever I need to add. When it comes to the coaching aspect of it, I take the lead and my wife is the support or disagree or whatever with what I with what I say. But at the end of the day, we have a mutual understanding of who does what and that's how we're able to come to a good end. All right, sweetheart, you're good.
That was the safest answer, baby. I love it. You gave the safest answer.
Not too much.
So that the people in the world would think that we got this. We got this together. But in reality, no. So we do communicate. And I think that's major. We don't have a problem with talking to each other. And actually listening. And that's key. And so even in disagreement, because there's a lot of things I don't agree with when it comes to a lot that he says. But I also know that I'm not a coach. I also know that have never been a coach. And not only that, and although I may have dibbled in some sports here and there, which he feels like don't count, I've done it. But we're not gonna go there. We ain't gonna we that's not today's workshop. So with that being said, I respect his expertise because that is his expertise. And so we just have conversations and we listen to each other. And I think that as parents, that's what you have to do. You have to listen to each other so that you can be on one accord. And when we don't agree, when we can't find a consensus about things, sometimes we have to agree to disagree. But at the end of the day, I do believe that I think we agree more than we disagree. So
Mhm.
for me, the biggest thing is to have that conversation and to listen to each other about certain things. I mean, I could think about different things when it because I non-sport, me and him weren't married yet, so that was something I did as a single parent, and we just kind of had the conversation about it later as the kids were older, and he kind of talked about me because I put him in the I-9 sports or whatever the case may be. But like I said, in instances where the kids, especially with Tyler, where there's like something the coach does, or I'm just good to say, hey, you go talk to the coach, like you do that. That's your lane, that's your space, and then when the kids seem to be a bit down on themselves about certain things, he's like, hey, go talk to the kids. And then he'll say, I'll talk to them later. He'll kind of give them a talk after I've given a talk, type of thing. So we just, we tag team each other in. And, when it's your turn, you take it. And when it's my turn, I'll take it. And we go that route.
Wow. All right. I asked that because we as parents, we like to go talk to the coaches. And
Yeah.
like you said, we have to understand like that's their role. And,
Hmm.
and that's in life. We have so many that want to be chiefs and not enough Indians, right? We have to allow people to walk in the gift that God has truly
Yes.
them with and not try to walk that gift for them. So
Hmm.
that's the thing. Like I love how you said, like, that's his role. He's the coach. So allow him to be just that. So here we go. Ashley say she's back, our money champion. So I'm gonna change that a little bit. So Ashley, how can how can a mother teach their child, a parent teach their child the value of money when they're so focused on the game? That's a good one.
So, as is the child focused on the game or the parents focused on the game?
The child. How it says, how can I teach
Okay.
my child the value of money when they're so focused on the game? So the child is focused. We need to tell the parent on how they can teach their child the value. You spoke about it though. You told them. You said she got to answer it earlier, right? Oh my gosh! But yeah, come on, give us some more scenarios.
Yeah. Yeah. So, if your child is focused on money and maybe like playing professional is something that they want to do, like what Ebony said, you got to be able to know your role, right? The
Mm.
child is going to be the moneymaker. At the end of the day, it's what the child wants. And from there, you're able to say, okay, this is what we want. Let's find ways that we can be able to make sure that this happens. Where are we at now, and where do we need to be in order to reach those goals? And the parent has to also be able to play on the side and say, okay, I have to be able to leave what it is that I want for my child out of it, because you also have to trust yourself that you did guide them in the right direction, right? You did guide
Mhm.
them into what it is that they want out of life and what they see as wealth. And when you're able to do that, now you're like, okay, well, now that we have this settled, is there a bond or a relationship established where now the child can trust the parent?
Mm. We're having some technical difficulties, so please do hold on because that was some. I mean, I have a good piggyback for
I was
that
gonna
one.
say that last piece right there.
Yeah. So while we're waiting for her, because I'm sure she's going to kind of rewind for us a little bit, take us back there. We have our nutritionist champion back in the building. So Naomi, we talked about some of the mood swings that are some of the signs that a mental health counselor can kind of catch in a child. So what are some warning signs that a mother could look for in their child's diet, maybe affecting their mood, their energy, or their focus?
So let me make sure I get the question correct. So we're talking about moods, and you're asking what are the telltale signs a parent can look to see if the moods of the child are changing depending on their diet. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So the most basic thing to do is now on start establishing the baseline of your child. What's their baseline? Because if you don't know the baseline, you don't know when things are changing. So it's to notice how what's their moods, what are they now, what's their kind of normal, and then when that is established, then just monitor how they're eating. Sometimes they won't tell you what they ate. Sometimes they will go out there and hang out with their friends, especially as they get older to the teenage levels and beyond, young adulthood. They will hear things that they're not telling you. But if you know already their baseline and you see them deviating from what is their usual, then you can start asking questions or you can start paying more attention. But it's going to be hard to monitor changes if you don't know what is their baseline. So that's the number one. So get to know your child, get to know what they look like. Now, if they increase, because some of the things is going to be differential diagnosis. That basically means a lot of things can look the same. Like if they're stressed, it could look mood swings that look like that are being affected by hunger. Because when they're extremely hungry, they're not getting enough carbohydrates, they're not getting enough satisfaction in their energy levels. They're going to be cranky. They're going to have low mood swings or very irritable. But then sometimes it could be stress levels. So it's going to be more differential diagnosis as a parent to know what could be. And then also the rapport, like I just found you guys talking about, is establishing that trust and the rapport with your child to know when things are changing. And if you don't have that, the community that comes around that child is extremely important. Why
Ooh.
do I say community? Because the kid may not be able to tell you what they're going through, but they may tell another parent who is close to their home. They may disclose to a trusted, like a coach. So being in that community and establishing networks in that community with very trusted and vetted family members, community members, coaches, teachers is going to be important because, again, we want to take monopoly to the growth of our children, but I still believe in the old adage that says a child is born in the community and is taken care of by the community. So we still need to establish those community channels to the extent where if for some reason you don't know where that lapse could have been, child is not able to speak to you, somebody else can notice a child getting out of baseline. And then you start digging it. Is it because of stress levels? Is it because of school expectation? Is it because of diet? Are they hungry more than usual? Are they overeating? And are they covering out an emotional factor? So those are the things that you need to establish. It begins by creating a baseline. Know your child, know their diet, and then expecting that there are things that you're not going to know. Because sometimes we want to presume to know everything. It's not going to happen. There are things as they grow up and they gain that autonomy and independence. There are things we are not going to know unless they tell us or somebody else notices. Because we're not angels. We are not all knowing. So we have to have the humility to know when I don't know something, I can investigate. Or I can, and then also at the end of the day, prayer to be able to have that discernment and the wisdom and God to guide you to be able to lead your child. But I think the biggest part of it is knowing your child's baseline.
That is so good. That is really, really good. Because I know it was one time that the kids, what did they call it? Not big when they make themselves throw up after they finish eating. What what is that called?
Bulimic.
Is it bulimic?
I don't know.
Yeah, but
Oh,
it's
so
when
yeah,
they
so when they,
when they
yeah,
make themselves throw up, that's bulimic.
Oh, okay, yeah.
yeah,
Because
so
I know
they
it
will
was at
infuse that, yes.
wow. I know at one point that was at like an all-time high at like one point. And I just, and as you talked about the stress eating too, maybe the kid is eating more than usual. Maybe it because people really don't think kids stress. I think everybody from the
They do
ruler to
get stressed.
Yes, they
They
do
do.
get stressed.
Yeah,
and so
Yeah.
we
they do
definitely
get
have to notice.
stressed.
Yeah, and that's definitely why we have to know the signs. So that's why we're telling you guys to get inside this huddle at Mom's Locker Room of Legacy because we got one-stop shop, y'all. I mean,
Yeah.
the stuff here that we're giving you guys is, I'm telling you, it is much needed. I wish we had something like this back when we were going
Mm-hmm.
through the process. And that's why we're also willing to get on here Mondays and Thursdays at 7:30 to pour back out into the people because we have the information. We just need y'all to get inside the room. So Ashley, come on. We talked about how can we teach our kids the value of money when they're so focused on the game. But I want you to come from it at this standpoint, right? Because a lot of kids are playing sports in hopes of making it to the big league. And now, hey, I'm going to make this money. I'm going to make that money. I'm going to do this for my parents, or, my parents putting this expectation on me as well. So kind of come from that angle because that right there is a huge thing right now. Because if you're playing a sport in hopes for you to make it to the pro level and you don't make it, now somebody's gonna have to go see Mrs. First of all because they're mental. So come from that point of view right there.
Yeah, and that can be really hard, especially when you set the expectations of making it to the league. And I remember as a student athlete in high school, I played basketball out of high school, didn't know anything about it. I promise you. I just walked into a school, coach was like, "You're tall, try out." And I'm like, "What? Okay, fine." And from there, I ended up liking the sport. And I remember telling my grandpa, I said, "Yeah, I think I want to take this to the next level. I'm not sure." And I remember him breaking down the statistic. This is the amount of high school students throughout the country. These are the amount of schools. This is your likelihood of you making it, pretty much, right? And to me, that was like almost like a slap in the face. I'm like, you don't believe in me? Like, you know what I'm saying? Even though we want to get that, the reality of it is there is a certain amount of people who will get to that next level. And sometimes it's not straight after high school. It may be a few years after high school because there are certain things that you have to be able to develop as a person or even grades. And when you're coming from that angle and you're saying, I want to make it to the big league so I can be able to make the money, if the reason is to make the money, then 9 times out of 10, that's not where you're probably going to end up at, if that makes sense, because the passion's not there. And it has to be more than money driven, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? Because if you're just driven by the money, the day that you're late or your teammate's late and you're not checking your teammate for the smallest thing that can cost you big in the end, it doesn't matter at that point, right? So I'm not trying to be the one that's like a Debbie Downer when it comes to that, but it is hard if it is about money. And if it is about money, the great thing nowadays is they have something that we did not have, which was NIL. You
Yeah.
ain't even gotta be good. People just gotta like you, right? They want to be able to use your image. You don't even gotta be a student. You can be, I mean, a student athlete. You can just be a student, right? So people want to be able to use your likeness, your image for in order for you to make that money. So if the league is something you want just for finances, now let's look at okay, if I don't make it to the league, what other options do I have? That refund check, right? You gotta, you got, and we being
Don't
real.
use the refund check. Don't use.
I've seen people who have full scholarships and they'll go up to the what's it called, FAFSA, and they gonna get that refund out. Okay, if you're gonna do that, let's make sure you do it the smart way.
Right.
Instead of just going out buying the latest Jordan. I kid you not. True story. I had a teammate and I'm riding in the back seat of the car and everybody talking about their refund check. And I'm like, dang, I got this $96. They trying to go out to eat. All I can eat is ramen noodles for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You know what I'm saying? If the cafe ain't open, I gotta ask somebody for some swipes because I didn't have it at that point. And I hear people complaining about a $2,000-$3,000 refund, and then not too much longer, they ain't got no money. Oh, but you look good, but you hungry.
Wow.
So it's all about priority and just making sure you put it in the right position.
Mm. Well, y'all know tonight we came in with bringing the next play. So listen, every champion in the building on tonight put their playbook out, and I'm telling you, you have to get inside these inside the locker room of legacy because I'm telling you, there's so much that we can give you, but if you're not here to get it, and don't be stingy. If this is blessing you, find somebody else that it could bless as well. You know, because at the end of the day, like I said, I wish that I had this type of information during our journey. So I believe that's why God allow us to go through some things so we could be able to pour back into others. So I'm going to give each champion a chance because I like to be respectful of everyone's time. And we're right here at 8:32. But y'all, this could get so good. So that's why you have to come back on Thursday to get more, right? But I want each and every one of you, I want you to go ahead and give a mother some words of encouragement. You may have that mother that's out there that's putting in, and I'm gonna go hard with this one because here's the thing. A lot of times as parents, we put so much on our children and we're not even realizing what it is that we're doing. Oh, well, when my son make it or my daughter make it, this is what they're gonna buy me, X, Y, and Z. So I want you to go ahead and encourage a mother how to kind of like tread lightly when it comes to their child and their child's future. Now, we're not here to tell anybody what you should do. We're just giving you just a piece of advice or what, what we're, just a piece of advice. Nothing about what you should do, though, because this is a hard area to touch. Why? Because we have so many dreams and aspirations, look, for our kids. But is that our kid dream and aspiration? So come on, coach.
Mr. First of all in the building. It's very hard for me to actually tell them not what to do. That's very difficult to do. But I would just say, mothers, just be aware, be conscious. Like Miss Naomi said, know your kids. Don't force things on them uh more than what they can handle. Look at the signs. Do they really want to do this, or do I want them to really do this?
It's good. Come on, Mrs. First of all.
Oh man, babe, that was real hard to come behind. No, but you know what? I agree with all that you said. And number one is to have a conversation, ask the questions, right? So I know what I want from my kids, but let me ask you, what do you want for yourself? And does it involve the things that I want? And most importantly, get help, have therapy, talk, because when you go to therapy, it teaches you how to acknowledge the other person, not just to just to listen and to understand, but to acknowledge, to accept what that person is bringing towards you. And so when you go to therapy, you're able to learn that and take that back to your parenting and really have those conversations and, acknowledge this is what you want. Let's come up with a plan. Let's figure this out so that you can get it what you want. Because as a parent, my job is to lead. But when they start getting to that age where they are going into their young adulthood, parenting shifts. I'm no longer the parent that takes your hand and walks you to that space. Now I am hoping that the things I taught you, you can use on your own. And so the best thing that we can do as parents is to teach our children. And part of teaching involves listening. So we definitely want to have those conversations and listen to our kids.
All right. Come on, money champion.
So one thing that I actually experienced last week kind of took me back and made me kind of rethink how I am sometimes with my child. TJ had like a breakdown in the morning. He was like, I'm not trying to go to school. I'm dragging him out of the house. And my natural reaction, because, I got to get the kids to school, get ready for the day. I want to be like, let's hurry up. Let's go. But I took a second. I looked at him because I'm like, okay, something's really bothering him at this moment. And I gave him an option. I said, you can get on the bus now, or you can ride in the back seat when we drop your brother and sister off at daycare. I can drop you off at school. Which one do you want to do? So I let him sit back there and process his feelings. And then once I dropped his sister and brother off, I had him sit up front with me and I asked him what was wrong. And his whole mood just changed. And after he told me what was wrong, I gave him a hug. I said, are you ready to go to school now? Yes. And then that was it. So for me, like I said, that was a moment that I think I would cherish as a parent, because most times you're just with the routine. You're like, let's go. Like, why are you dragging? But when you take yourself out of it, and then we got to understand, like you said, I forgot who said it, but these kids have stress too. It may not look like our stress, but they're just little babies trying to navigate a world and dealing with people who are from other communities, other backgrounds, and they don't understand that, and they're trying to understand themselves. So just be patient with yourself, be patient with your baby, and just continue to grow and just love on them. Be the loudest person in their ear.
Wow, that's good. Come on, our nutrition champion. Woo, y'all, listen. Woo. Yes, come on. You're on mute.
Oh, there you go. So it's hard to come after all those wisdom and nuggets and all that good stuff. But I just want to touch on something Ebony was saying earlier on, that we are skipping a lot of the development to grown-up stuff. Both nutritionally, mentally, physically, and then we are avoiding. I want to call our attention to, I don't know if we watched that movie, the Miyagi boy who was being trained to be the karate boy. There's a lot of the things that we are skipping in terms of the training that could mature them mentally before they can start maturing the physical part of it. And when it comes to nutrition, we want to be able to notice those baselines. I think that would be my kind of something to call the parents into. When you hear yourself start saying, you know what, I'm fat, or you know what, I'm eating too much, or you know what, I'm okay, I don't feel like doing this. Don't shush it down or don't force it down their throat. Pay attention instead. And don't claim monopoly with a child. The child is raised with a village, and even with the dangers that we face today, there's room where you can vet good community around you. That is extremely important, and especially for my parents who are one parent homes, you want to be able to tap in a good community. And food is going to be, because even if you feed the child well and all these other environmental factors in terms of mental health, in terms of friendships and relations, and they're growing and their school expectations are not taken care of, the stress is going to be too much. The food is not going to do any good to them. So we want to be able to pay attention as a whole and really hone into that community of coaches, teachers, friends, and above it all, let's pray for the children.
Yes. Well, all right, parents, coaches, champions, all you under the sound of my voice, I want you to go ahead and get out your thinking caps on, because I have a couple of things that I want to say to you. Coming from a mother, I really want to ask you, are you parents really preparing your child just to succeed in sports? Or are you guiding them toward a legacy beyond the game? I really want you to think about that. One, next, how can you balance supporting your child's dreams without pressuring them to the point of losing joy? You, as a parent, know how bad you want it. You, as a parent, know how bad you want it for your child. But, like we said, do your child really want it for themselves? Are we really taking the joy out of our children our lives, making them do things that we think that they should do or we want them to do, and not allowing them to, what, like Ashley say, process their feelings? Are we listening to hear? Are we listening to respond? Next, what values do you want to instill in your child that will outlast the scoreboard? Are you only worrying about the touchdowns, the goals, what the baskets, the what they call them, to knock them out the park, baseball, what it is, home runs? Is that the only thing that we're focusing on, parents? Come on. And then for our athletes, Ashley, you was once an athlete, and coach. Me, I was a little cheerleader for you. Okay, but here we go. Who are you outside of sports, darling? How can you strengthen that identity? Like Naomi said, it takes a village. Even if the parent is not pouring into their child, that child have to go to the coach. You understand? They're gonna go sit in front of a financial advisor. They're gonna even go to the nutritionist. How are we strengthening their identity, speaking life into them? Because we can do that, we could reassure some kids, or some even some adults you could reassure as well. But the thing is, what are we doing when they're coming in our presence? As a therapist, as a coach, as a financial advisor, as a nutritionist, not just the parent, I mean, not just the athlete, but sometimes the parents need it as well. Because we said it in the workshop, I mean, our live workshop we had. Sometimes you have a broken kid inside of an adult. They didn't get healed. Next, are you caring for your body and your mind in a way that builds a healthy future, not just a strong season? Yeah, you're building up your body, but what are you doing to protect your mind? Because we all know that the enemy comes for that first. And once he got that mind, he got the whole body at that point. So what are you doing to protect, like build a healthy future outside of just a strong season? And last, what kind of legacy do you want to leave behind on the field and beyond it? Because one day you're going to be an awesome father or awesome mother. What do you want your kids to know you by? What do you want the people that you are so close in contact with to know you by? We want to build legacies, and that's what we do here at Mom's Locker Room of Legacy. So tonight reminded us that building champions go far beyond the scoreboard. Here, as mothers, we are not just raising athletes, we are raising strong minds, strong bodies, and strong futures. So with the wisdom shared by experts on tonight, champion Mr. and Mrs. First of all, champion money over there, and champion nutritionist. Come on, y'all. We can guide our children to be disciplined, grounded, and resilient in the game and in life. So that's why y'all need to tell a mom, to tell a mom, to tell all the moms and their athletes, get inside this locker room. Y'all want to get in this huddle to get the next play, right? So let us leave here committed to nurturing not only their gifts, but also their character, because true legacy is not just about how they play. It's about how they live once the game is over. So who are you outside of the game? We love you here at Moms. Listen, mothers are motivated sons. Man, y'all want to get inside these locker room. I'm telling you. So tell a mom, to tell a mom, to tell all the moms and their athletes. Not just moms. Come on, bring them dads in too. We got something for y'all too. We have
Yeah.
Come on, speak up, Dad. Y'all
That's
heard
right. That's
You
right.
hear him over there?
We
Okay.
need love too, baby.
We got you. We got you. Come on, Dad. Y'all come on up in here. That's why we have maximizing opportunities and mindsets in sports. See, we just not going to stop there with mothers of motivated sons. And guess what, y'all? We're also taking 75 people to Jacksonville Jaguar game and versus to Texans, y'all. You want to get out there to meet moms. We will. Some of us will be in the building, and some of us will be there in spirit, y'all. So meet us at the at the bank. We're going to the bank, y'all. This Sunday at 1 p.m. The Jacksonville Jaguars has truly blessed this organization, and we're forever grateful. Also, our sponsors who are sponsors us for our live event, Body Armor, Patrick and Paget, Miami Dolphins, whoop whoop, 305, baby, Jacksonville Jaguars, Mellow Mushroom. Who else we had? 10K Creations, Midnight Trucking Express. It had to happen. Listen, y'all. We had a couple sponsors that we want to go ahead and shout out. And oh my gosh, Agent 88, Alan Hearns. We could not do that without you, and you. And with the support of all of our champions, volunteers, and whoever was in the building, our guests, our vendors. Thank you. We're forever grateful for each and every one of you. Y'all, come on, let's get out of here. We opened up and we did not pray, but God didn't, he miss a beat with us. So that's how we know that we're connected. But we will not leave this broadcast without lifting up a word of prayer. So who wants to take us on in?
Miss First of all.
All right, I already know. Thank you, sir. All right, Father God, Lord, we thank you. We appreciate you, God. You are so awesome and you are so amazing, oh God. We thank you for the great, great, great fellowship that we had today here in Mom's Locker Room of Legacy. We thank you for all of the information that you have allowed for us to give to such beautiful people who have tuned in to our show tonight, oh God. And we ask you, Lord God, to cover us all throughout the evening, Father God, that we may return on Thursday to get more information. Continue to bless each and every individual, and Lord God, and continue to give us the information that we need to bless these people. We thank you, Lord God, and we appreciate you. It is in your Son, Jesus' name, that we pray. Amen.
Amen. Come
Amen.
here, Lambo. Let me show y'all a fur baby champion. Come here, fur baby. He went and got him a haircut today, y'all. Come here, Papa. Come here, Papa. Say hi. Papa,
And he behaved today. We ain't even hit him.
say
Oh,
hi.
it's so good.
Y'all see y'all,
Lambo.
they put him on the dolphin colors. Don't play.
That's
Don't
right.
They
play.
know better.
So we love y'all here. And I'm sorry, it moms of motivated son locker room of this. Look, somebody else want to come on in. Hey,
She
Anne
tired.
Marie.
She said she hungry.
all right. Well, y'all be blessed. We'll see you guys back here on Thursday. Every Monday and Thursday, we'll be before you guys at 7:30. So tell a mom to tell a mom to tell some moms and their dads. And
Right.
some dads to tell other dads to come on inside this locker room to get the next play with their athletes. We want to see some athletes in the building as well, because all this information that we're giving out is for free now. So catch it. Until next time, we love you all. Bye bye.